Welcome to Piraeus, one of the most ancient cities, or possibly the most ancient city in the entire world. And as you can see, I'm working here at Piraeus, the port city right outside of Athens. And today I wanted to talk with you about the pros and cons of living in Athens, Greece, and the pros and cons of living in Piraeus. As you can see here, this is a really interesting place. Piraeus is, I believe, the fourth largest port in Europe, which of course also makes it one of the largest port cities in the entire world. From here, you can take ferries to a lot of places, right? You can go to many of the Greek islands, you can go to Turkey, you can take cruises around the Mediterranean. I mean, this port city, the port city of Piraeus, has so much to offer to expatriates as well as residents of Greece. And given its close proximity, let's say you live in a place like Athens, you live in the center of Athens, and you want to come here, you can actually take the ferry to one of the islands in Greece. And the nearest island, or one of the nearest islands that you can travel to, is probably Aegina, okay? If you want to travel from Piraeus to Aegina, that's probably going to take you less than an hour. So you can be on one of the Greek islands in very little time. And the good thing about being here is that, again, the proximity, right? Let's say you live in the center of Athens and you want to come here. It's just a short cab ride. You can be here in like 20 to 30 minutes if you live in the center of Athens. Assuming there's not much traffic if you drive, right? If you take the metro, you would go to the metro station Piraeus, which is not the end station, it is one before of the end station. So you would take Metro Line 3 wherever you depart from the center of Athens. Let's say that's Monastiraki or a different metro station in the center of Athens. You would use Line 3 and you would go almost until the end of Line 3, right? So one stop before. And then you would end up here. And like I said, look at these ships here, right? Very, very impressive. So that's definitely one of the pros of living in Athens, Greece. It's that you get to enjoy a very different vibe than what you are accustomed to in North America. It's very, very different. And another great thing that I haven't even pointed out yet is that Athens, Greece is one of the least expensive cities in Southern Europe or in Western Europe. Like technically from a geopolitical perspective, Athens, Greece is part of Western Europe, but I know geographically speaking, Athens is Southern Europe, right? So there are a lot of pros here. So this is definitely one of the pros of living in Athens, Greece, is that you can take a ferry to a lot of different places, and usually this place is packed. Now we're in mid-September, so technically holiday season is over, so it's not as packed, and we're here on a Monday morning too, which may impact things a little bit. But if you walk further down here, you're going to see a lot of tourists heading to the islands or coming back from one of the islands. Another pro of living in Piraeus, Greece, is that the public transportation is actually quite good. What do I mean by that? If you want to take the metro from Piraeus, say to the center of Athens, expect to pay €1.20 for your ticket. That's for a one-way ticket valid for up to 90 minutes. If you want to get a 24-hour ticket, excluding transfers to the airport, you are looking at probably €3.90 or €4.90, something like that. You can see that Athens, also Piraeus, is actually quite inexpensive. To go from Piraeus to Athens, you probably need, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes, depending on where you get off in Athens. This is not bad. What's also good, something I wanted to note, is the €1.20 ticket also includes bus rides. It isn't just limited to metro rides, it also includes bus rides. Let's say you live a little bit far from Piraeus metro station and you want to go to the center of Athens, but you first have to take the bus. Then technically what you can do is you can buy a card and you can buy credits for your card, or you can also buy like a monthly card, like the monthly deal, and anytime you get into the bus, you tab it, right? And that would be, paying for your ride. So that's how that works. However, if you just want to do a single ride, like I said, it's €1.20, and it's really great. And technically for in a southern European country, I think that Athens transportation is actually quite good. And as we've also talked about in point number 1, if you want to take the ferry to one of the islands, or say you want to go to Turkey, then you're not going to pay an arm or leg for this. It's very affordable, and it's a great place for someone who doesn't want to own a car. One of the cons of living in Athens, Greece, as you can see here perhaps, is that Athens, Greece, and also Piraeus is not exactly flat. Have a look at this. See, it goes uphill here. Now this can be a pro or a con. I think that if you're older and you have issues walking, perhaps you want to live in a place that's more flattish, right? Because it does take, that you're in good shape to walk uphill a lot. And that's just one of the cons that I see. Even though it's good, it's good for your legs. It's a lot better to walk uphill than downhill, but walking uphill can get exhausting. So from that point of view, it's, maybe a bit of a con. Another con is that parking can be really difficult here, because a lot of the buildings here have very limited parking spaces, as you can see, and these are like 4, 5, 6-story buildings, and let's say there are 2 to 3 apartments on each floor, then we're looking at what, maybe like 15 to 20 people who live in these apartments. And so technically you would have like 15 cars, at least 1 car per household. And of course the older generation, they don't really have cars here, right? Because it's just not needed. If you go to the supermarket, it's very, very densely populated here. So if you go to the supermarket, it's not like you live in the US and you have to drive to the supermarket. No, everything here is walkable, but again, it's an uphill battle. And another con that I'm going to add to this point here, so we now talked about walking uphill and how that's being a con, parking being a con, the lack of parking being a con. And here you see there are many crossroads, missing the paint of course, but there are many crosswalks here, but cars don't really stop at the crosswalks, so that's definitely an issue. So don't expect people to stop, because they won't. Here's a school, so you can see, so it's kind of noisy, so we're gonna walk away from this area. But that's another con, right? If you come from a country where people are accustomed to stop at the crosswalk, if there's no traffic light, then that's different here. I think they are supposed to stop, but they don't. So don't think that everything works like back home. If you come from the US or Canada or Western Europe, like Western Europe, it doesn't. It's quite different here. Okay, so I wanted to show you another con, which are the roads and the parking spaces here. As you can see, they have a lot of issues, right? So this is just not being fixed here. And here, look at this. This is supposed to be the road, but I don't think this has been fixed in the past 5 years. There's just no money for it, In Greece, they're counting every cent. There's no money for it here, unfortunately. And just think about it. Opening all of this up, redoing the sidewalks and all of this, it would put a lot of pressure on residents, because they need to live, work, and also park here. As you can see, like people park right next to the road, So I think that would put a lot of pressure on people, but the roads here are just not the best. They're probably the same as what you see in a place like Thailand or Vietnam. They don't really represent Western Europe, but that's okay. But then from a tax perspective, which leads us to another con, Greece is actually, one of the highest tax countries in the entire world. So you pay anywhere from, I believe, 23% or 21% to 43% in taxes, right? So we're not talking about bargains here. You pay very high taxes here. And then if you take a look at these roads and like parking areas, they don't represent the first world, right? So that's something to consider. Then potentially another con, which you haven't spotted yet, is that a lot of people here drive very old vehicles, like 15, 20-year-old vehicles. That's pretty normal. To find newer cars is actually quite rare. There are some, like I would say anything newer than 2020 is very rare, You can just have a look here and see, Maybe this is slightly newer, but this is also like at least a 12-year-old car, right? This is a newer car, it's a Fiat Punto. So basically hatchbacks are very popular here. And what else? Then of course Smart for Two. Given the narrow roads and the lack of parking, Smart for Two doesn't make a lot of sense here. But here you can see again, right? All the cars, like 15, 20-year-old cars are very, very normal here. You can see all of this, right? Here, here we are. So this is normal, you know. If you go to a different country like Austria or maybe even in Spain, you know, people have newer cars. But given how expensive newer cars are, a lot of people just don't have the money to afford them. So what do? Well, they resort to the used car market. And that's why Greece actually has a pretty large second-hand car market compared to other countries. You know, probably one of the largest. And here again, all the cars, right? Another pro of living in Piraeus is actually the ambiance. As you can see here, we're hanging out right here on the promenade, and it's just gorgeous. Honestly, it looks even better at night because all this back here will be lights. It's very romantic. So if you like a nice ambiance, then I think Piraeus is a great place for you to stay. Now here, this is for instance a bar, I believe. Anywhere, this street has so many bars and restaurants. Actually, not too many people are having lunch here, but when you come here at night, it's usually packed. Like there are people sitting all over the place here, and it's just a very romantic place to spend the evening. It's great. And remember that all of this is free. It doesn't cost you any money to come here and hang out. And in fact, for parking, you also don't pay anything, provided you can find a parking space, right? But I'm just saying, this is one of the nicest places on the whole Mediterranean, in my humble opinion. It really is. Another big pro of living in Piraeus in Athens, Greece, is Greek cuisine. There's no better place to have authentic Greek cuisine than right here in Greece, the country, the origin of Greek food. Whether you're interested in gyros, souvlaki, or moussaka, Greece has it all. One of the good things that I have spotted almost immediately upon arrival in Greece is that takeout food is actually quite inexpensive here in Piraeus. Gyros tend to go for anywhere from 3 euros on the very low end to 5 or 6 euros if you decide to have one at a fancier restaurant. I also wanted to add the following. Having authentic Greek food in Athens and Piraeus is the most expensive when you have it in the downtown area, in Athens center, so around the Acropolis, but also the surrounding neighborhoods, because that's where the tourists go. Expect to pay as much as 100% more for a gyro than you would if you were to have one in Piraeus. Now, 100% is on the high end, but you're definitely going to see quite a big markup for the simple reason that restaurant owners have to pay more for rent in the center of Athens, especially nearby the tourist attractions, including the popular museums and Acropolis. Many supermarkets here in Athens, Greece, and also Piraeus have takeout food, and actually, for Western standards, relatively inexpensive takeout food. The prices are based per box or per portion, and you can find takeout food in supermarkets, and again, that's freshly prepared takeout food. It is not like prepackaged food, it's fresh. You can expect to pay anywhere from 3 euros all the way up to 5 or 6 euros per portion. One of the biggest cons of living in Greece, and this doesn't just apply to Athens or its metro, it is a regional problem. It is the internet. The internet is not particularly consistent throughout regions in Greece, including Athens metro, including where I'm currently staying in Piraeus. This came as a bit of a surprise to me, considering that Athens is a big metropolis located in the European Union. So I had expected the best, the fastest, the most reliable internet connection that I was going to experience. However, little did I know that this does not apply to many areas in Athens, including Piraeus. I don't know what it is. However, we had the internet technician stop by numerous times, I think 3 or 4 times, to determine what was causing the internet connection issues in this very apartment. They stopped by, it got fixed, and the internet was doing quite good for a number of days, and then the same problem arose again. So we had to call them, they came back, had a look at it. I didn't even have to open up the door, and it worked again. We don't know what is causing these internet downtimes in Athens, including Piraeus. But based on what other people told me, this is a very regular, normal problem in Greece. So if you work on the internet and you are dependent on the internet for your income, it is very important that you set yourself up in a neighborhood or in a building that is known for a reliable internet connection. I cannot stress this point enough, because your income is predicated on the internet, so you cannot risk taking any chances. If you stay at an Airbnb, oftentimes it makes sense to book it for just 10 days. See how it goes before you end up extending the place for a month, 2 months, 3 months, or possibly even longer. However, I'm going to say that if the internet is up, it is actually quite good. It is reliable if it is up and when it is up. And internet speed is quite good. Download speed is quite good. Upload speed is quite good. This is not the problem. But based on what I'm hearing from people, there are problems in the Athens metro, and it is not just Piraeus. The problem exists across the whole city, and I have heard that the internet consistency and stability is even less prominent in some of the other regions in Greece, particularly many of the islands. They don't have reliable internet. This is something very important. The last con I wanted to talk with you about is stray animals. Stray animals are all too common in Greece, especially in Athens and Piraeus. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of stray animals that just don't have a home. These animals have been abandoned or they reproduced outside on the streets, causing lots of local issues, including unclean streets, food littered literally all over the sidewalks. This picture has become very common across the Athens metro. Now, I can't speak about other regions in Greece or the islands. However, in Athens, it is a major problem, and the government doesn't seem to care about it too much. They don't try to take these animals and try to find a new home for them. They don't do that. These animals stay on the streets. They live on the streets. They live outside, and the locals actually feed them. So you would see, actually before sunset, you would see a lot of locals come outside with the bowls, and they actually do feed the stray cats and stray dogs in Piraeus. Very recently, as I was walking to the supermarket to buy groceries, I found this stray cat laying on the sidewalk. First I thought that this stray cat is just chilling, is just having a good time, until I took a closer look and realized that this cat was dying on the streets of Piraeus. So I took the cat and brought it to the veterinarian, because I had the best of intentions to rescue this stray cat and hopefully give it a new home. Well, I wasn't going to give it a new home because I don't live in Athens, Greece permanently. I was going to put up a Facebook post and look for a new owner, or look for possibly the first owner for this cute cat. However, the cat didn't make it. Unfortunately, it was already too late. The cat was only skin and bones, and there was nothing that could be done to save her life. So unfortunately, the cat didn't make it, and it was a very sad experience, because you always put your expectations up a little bit higher. If you see this cat and you take her to the veterinarian, you hope for the cat to at least make it, even if it takes weeks. But unfortunately, the cat did not survive. How can you move to Athens, Greece, or any part in Greece, or any island in Greece? This is the question we're going to answer now. Basically, we're going to have a look at two distinct categories: EU citizens and people who enjoy freedom of movement, and non-EU citizens that need a visa and residence permit to live in Greece permanently. First category of people are Canadians, Americans, Australians, New Zealanders, people from Latin America, people from Africa, in fact, people from any place other than the European Union or EEA, where citizens of these other countries and regions actually have to get a visa or residence permit to live in Greece for, say, more than 90 days throughout a 180-day period. The EU has obviously the tourist visa, which allows people, citizens of eligible countries, to visit the Union, including the country of Greece, for a total period of 90 days within a 180-day window. Now, this cap is being put in place to avoid that the outsider, the tourist, becomes a tax resident of Greece, right? So if you were to spend more than 183 days per year in Greece, you would have to pay taxes to the Greek government. This is how it works. Now, if you want to come to Greece and you want to purchase property, you may qualify for the Greek Golden Visa. Very recently, the price has gone up. The stakes have gone up. Before, you were able to invest 250,000 euros into Greek real estate and qualify for a residence permit. Now, you have to invest at least 400,000 euros to get the Greek Golden Visa or residency by real estate purchase. Obviously, you could go to school, you could obtain a student visa, enroll in one of the many public or private schools across the country to secure a residence permit, which would allow you to live in Greece on a more permanent basis. Plus, you'd be eligible to travel to different EU countries under this residence permit, which also applies to citizens who don't have visa-free access to the European Union. Citizens of the European Union enjoy freedom of movement. If you're a citizen of an European Union country, you can come to Greece using your national ID card, your EU card, the national ID card from the EU country where you are a resident or citizen. You can come to Greece using this ID, but it must be an ID issued by a country of the European Union. You come to Greece and you can enjoy freedom of movement. You can live, work, and study in Greece without a visa. However, if you want to live in Greece for more than 90 days within a 180-day window, you would need to apply for residency as well, which does not require economic solvency. You're not required to invest in real estate. In fact, you just go to the local government office and get started with your residency application. Unlike citizens from outside the European Union who want to get established in Greece, they do need residence permit, right? They need to invest or get like a study permit or maybe get married to a Greek citizen. However, people from the European Union or EEA, they don't need it. If you're interested in obtaining a residence permit in Greece, please contact us. We would love to work with you. Book a consultation with us and we will show you all the available options. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We appreciate you and we see you on the next video.